Welcome to today's episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. My name is Adam Brsan.
And I'm Chris Smith.
If you've yet to do so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode. And if you love this podcast, don't forget to share it with a friend or colleague. We greatly appreciate your help and support.
Okay, all right. Now we're on. Now we're recording. We're not live, but we're here for a mere 15 minutes or maybe 20, but more likely 15, a brief episode today where we're going to talk about momentum. Now, Adam, ironically, we're talking about momentum now so that when people get into the fall, get into the winter and the back half of the year, they're active, they're selling, and they're making money. Because you've heard so many people talk about how there's no one that will buy in December. There's no reason to go sell. They just give up around Thanksgiving. But I think if we start talking about the value of momentum now, then they're going to have a better fall, a better busy season, and a better end of the year than how it usually plays out for people. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
So I was looking at the calendar recently, and I noticed that Christmas Eve and Christmas, New Year's Eve and New Year's fall on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, like right smack in the middle of the working week. And I think if we can get people better prepared in a better routine and in a good momentum streak, by the time they get to that, they can enjoy it and take time off. Because if you're not prepared, what would 2 weeks off really do to someone's final expense career?
I mean, it could really make or break you. I mean, 2 weeks, that's a lot. That could be a lot of income. So you're right. It really does uh, matter to prepare and be ready. And if that means you got to work a little bit more, maybe an extra day out in the field, uh, you know, maybe, well, heck, if you think about it, that's 4 days right there, right? Tuesday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So, I mean, that's 4 days right there. So, yeah, I mean, I would say over the next, few months or whatever, you need to maybe add another day into your schedule if you're not working a full week. You just got to figure out ways to make up that time. Otherwise, it really could affect you. Don't want to have to take off 2 full weeks in a row. But I guess if you plan ahead and you prepare and you do well enough prior to that time of year, maybe you would be able to maybe take off a week or two and maybe enjoy some time with your family throughout the holidays, moving into the new year.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a really good goal to give people. It's a good opportunity to teach and learn and practice delayed gratification. And it's a chance to, rest, reset, and really put yourself on track for the next year. But people aren't intentional enough with their schedule. They're not intentional enough with their business. All of a sudden, they're going to wake up and it's going to be December 12th. And they're thinking to themselves, what do I do in 2 weeks when we could have been talking about it like now, 4 months ahead of time? So I just think it's important as we talk about momentum today, as we talk about the fall and the busy season, that you be more observant about your schedule than just waiting for something to surprise you when you realize how quickly it's come up on you.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was saying, I mean, because I almost feel like that kind of happened to me last year, like around Thanksgiving. I think the way Thanksgiving fell. Well, Thanksgiving, of course, was on a Thursday, but just not planning ahead properly. And then it's like, I think I probably took off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then it's like, yeah, I mean, heck, that's 4 or 5 days in a row. And then it sometimes it takes a little bit to kind of get back into a groove. We talk about, like you said today, kind of wanting to talk about momentum and that. Like, I feel like when you have a good day, it's like you kind of want to build off of that. And when you take off 4 or 5 days in a row and then you're trying to get back into the swing of things, it's almost like you're just kind of starting from scratch and you got to kind of rebuild that momentum. So, uh, yeah, definitely, like you said too, got to plan ahead a lot and just be ready. So when that time comes, we're prepared and we've done enough to, like I said, if anything, be able to maybe have a little bit more time with the family at the end of the year. I think it's a great goal to set. Uh, and that's something I used to always do. I mean, I would always do whatever I could to write as much as I could, where then, like after Christmas, usually between Christmas and New Year's, would always
Mhm.
be like the week where, if anything, we would maybe take a trip or just kick back and just not a whole lot of work stuff. So I think that it's a really good goal to have. But if you don't plan ahead, you're going to be struggling and figuring out ways to still generate that business at the end of the year. And business can be written in December. There's like this I don't know. There's something out there where people just think that December comes and nobody wants to talk to you. But I mean, I've written plenty of business in December and even at the end of the month into the new year. So, uh, but yeah, like with the way it falls this year, you definitely got to plan ahead. Otherwise, it could really screw up a couple weeks in a row.
Yeah, I think momentum, especially when we talk about baseball, because there's a lot of correlations between baseball and insurance sales, doesn't always just all of a sudden, it's not just a home run out of nowhere. Momentum starts in a game where someone gets walked and then somebody bunts the run up. Then somebody gets a single, and all of a sudden, then the pitcher's lost control. Like momentum crescendos into this point where the entire game changes. Typically, it's not just one huge grand slam out of nowhere. You kind of see that too sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a real thing. I mean, I think mindset plays a big part of that. But I mean, I've had days out in the field where just struggling and just not catching people at home or even the people I sit down with, just not really getting anywhere with. And it just takes that one person that, you go in, you make a sale, and just everything just kind of turns around, totally shifts your mindset back into like the right mindset. And it builds that, you get that momentum, and it's motivating, I guess. And yeah, just like baseball, I mean, uh, same thing. You could be getting no hit the whole game, and then heck, all it takes is that one guy to get a base hit and kind of sparks everybody else and turns things around. So yeah, definitely some correlation there for sure. But I think so much of it is just mindset and trying to stay in the right frame of mind for sure.
What do you think really slows people down? Is it that they don't think that they're really capable of it? They don't equip themselves properly to achieve it? Like, what causes people to never even get into that momentum opportunity?
Uh, Probably just not working enough. Uh, I mean, if you're not working enough, you're just gonna write business here and there. You're not gonna give yourself a chance to even really be able to get into a groove. Uh, it's like maybe some people they write one piece of business and they're satisfied. They know that that commission's going to be coming in. I think too many people focus too much on that one sale rather than focusing on a lot of sales. I mean, I might make a sale early in the day, and great. I mean, that's just one sale. I mean, I my focus is on writing as much as I can. So I just always kind of look at it like we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, and I got to have a great day today because I mean, what happens if I don't do anything tomorrow? And but yeah, the momentum. It's hard to build momentum if you go out and you make one sale and then you go home because you're satisfied.
I was just writing down here, and I know I've done this training in the past. I'd have to find the notes, but when we're talking about one sale not being enough, one sale, all that it does is pay for your leads. And then the next sale pays your rent or your mortgage. And nowadays, it probably takes two to pay for your rent and mortgage. And then your fourth sale of the week begins to pay for your business expenses like your E&O, your iPad, your gas, your CRM, like all those things that have to work for the rest of the thing to work. And then by the fifth application of the week, you start to enter the profit zone. Or not even that. Like maybe that fifth application actually is chargeback protection because one of those four isn't going to stick. And then that sixth application is where you start to separate yourself in income potential. And then seven, eight, nine, and 10, it just gets stupid with what you can make. But I think if people really understood that one application, that's just your leads. Two and three, that's so you have a roof over your head. Four and five is so that your business can function. Then you're really making money somewhere around five and six, right?
I'd say so. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, heck, one sale. I mean, the cost of leads these days too, but that's the name of the game, and you got to keep your business going. So, but like I said, I mean, when you're writing business, you got to be consistent with all aspects of the business to kind of keep things moving. and you need to focus on more than just that one sale. Uh, like you said, that all the other expense involved. Plus, if you want to profit, all it takes is having one bad week too. And I mean, it's happened to all of us. I mean, you got to have a little bit of backup because kind of like what we're talking about today, like you said, 2 weeks, 4 business days taken away at the end of the year. I mean, that would be like, if I didn't plan ahead, that would be like as though I just even worked those 4 days and just completely struck out and didn't write any business.
Yeah.
So, uh, so yeah, you got to plan ahead and you got to have a little bit set aside to be able to move forward and just kind of keep going with all aspects of the business.
The other way I look at it too, I gave this example to an agent during some private training today, is when we're talking about momentum, a lot of it has to do with having people to see, right? Like if you don't have anyone to see, nothing's going to happen. You're just lying to yourself, whatever. Um, Lead investments. If you take them, they're provided to you or you buy them, whatever. 20 leads a week, Adam. I told this agent that in that set of 20 leads, as we talk about momentum, lead 1 through 5, those are your low hanging fruit sales. You're going to sell them just by showing up. Doesn't matter what product, what carrier, what comp, what you look like, how you smell. Hope you smell good, but those are easy. Leads 5 through 10, movable middle. You got to have some skill, got to be on your game, got to catch them at the right time. Have to have worked late, stayed on a Monday, worked on a Friday. There's money to be found in the movable middle. And then lead 10 through 20, for whatever reason, they're never going to be sold. You can't find them. They're dead. They don't exist. They don't speak English. They don't have a means to buy. It's the cost of marketing. And anyone can get 20 leads and sell the low hanging fruit, pick up one in the middle. And then the problem that kills their momentum is they carry that same set of 20 into week 2. But by week 2, all they really have is 15, and 10 of them they're never going to find. And then they carry that same set of 20 into week 3, and all they have left is 15, but 10 of those they'll never find. And they don't really realize what's happening over the course of that time. That's just slowly chipping away at any potential at momentum.
Yeah, I mean, it's just small-minded thinking. Uh, it's people that are just taking that one investment and just trying to squeeze out of it as much as they can. And but the problem with that is just like you said, I mean, half your leads you're never more than likely ever going to make contact with, whether
Hmm.
that's face to face or over the phone. So right there, I mean, really, you have opportunity to make sales on about 10 out of your 20 leads every week. So
Yeah.
I mean, you really need to, again, I mean, it's like broken record. I feel like we talk about this on like every podcast, just the importance of being consistent with all aspects of the business and having that steady lead flow and focusing on new leads. Uh, Anything else is just an added bonus, but I mean, yeah, that would push somebody right out of the business if they just all they're focusing on is that one lead order. They're getting as much as they can out of it, and then they're going to place another lead order after that,
Hmm.
and then they're waiting another 3 weeks for more leads to come in. So then it's like, what are they doing in the meantime?
Yeah, they're not doing anything really. Like they don't want to admit it. They can't say it. They don't know it because no one's seeing it, but they're not doing anything. And we mean that in a nice, mentorship kind of sense. But on that pattern, week 1 leads, week 2 the same leads, week 3 the same leads. By week 4, they're nowhere to be found. And then all they're trying to find is the excuse as to why they're in this position, but they put themselves in that position. Like if 20 leads cost $780 and all you sell are 2 policies, but with those 2 policies, you also got 2 Medicare enrollments, those leads are paid for just off of 2 policies. I think people don't understand because they get wrapped up in the cost per lead, not the cost per acquisition or the lifetime value or all the other factors that really go into the business. Not just that one lead was 40 cents or $1 or $2 or $40. They get wrapped up in such minuscule type issues when really it's a lot bigger when you look at it.
Well, they're focusing on what they're putting into it more than they're focusing on what they're going to get out of it.
There you go. Yeah.
So, that's the problem. They're focusing way too much on. I've always said, to me, that's being almost like over analytical in this business. They're pinching every penny. Uh, they're thinking about every dollar they spent, not only on leads, but heck, they also had to drive around to catch
Oh
up with those
God.
leads.
Oh
So they
God.
had to,
How dare they?
yeah, they had to pay for gas. They stopped and they got lunch when they were out working. Like,
That's yeah.
they're thinking about every single little part of what they have to put into it, rather than thinking about what they're going to get out of it. And
Hmm.
I think you need to focus more on the sales than, to me, it's like, uh God, what's the best way to put this? It's like they're thinking more about the negatives. They're thinking about we always say, like, the what if I don't make a sale sort
Hmm.
of mentality. And that's when they're thinking too much about the money they're spending. They're not thinking about the end result. They're just thinking about, oh my God, what am I going to do next week? Like, I just spent $800 on these leads this week. I can't do that again next week. Well, if you focus on the end result, you're going to make more than enough money to be able to place another lead order next week.
Yeah,
Me and you
absolutely.
are proof of that. Every week, I appreciate you helping when it comes to, kind of putting lead orders together for me. It just takes a little bit off of my plate, but I don't think there's been one week where you send me an invoice and it just sits there for like 2 weeks. I get that thing paid, and it's part of the business. You pay for the leads, you move on, and you keep working.
Absolutely. Now, I think as we wrap up this afternoon, as we look at momentum now at the end of summer, the beginning of fall, the busy season, not the slow season, it's important for those watching and listening today to really look at your calendar. Like, we get so wrapped up in such small picture related issues in this business. One call closes, knocking a door, setting an appointment. It's almost hard to look 4 months into the future, but that's what big businesses do. That's what insurance carriers do. I was talking to somebody and they were already on their way to the 2025 prep meeting for a carrier. It's August. It was early August, and they were going into the prep meeting for next year. I think that these insurance companies set a good example for us on what we could be doing to be able to take our business to the next level. Any closing thoughts, Adam?
Well, I'm just thinking about this right now. So let's see. Right now, what do we got? We got what? September, October, November, December.
Mm-hmm.
So how many more weeks do we have in the year? We
Four times
have,
four,
yeah, about what,
36.
six? We got like 16 weeks left in the year.
Yeah, 16. Sorry, 16.
So, all right, so 16 weeks left throughout the year. So, I mean, let's just say that our goal is, for instance, let's just say let's just say somebody's goal is 3,000 in premium every week. And they're focusing on the fact that they have to do that every week for the rest of the year. Well, why don't we focus on, breaking that down into 14 weeks rather than 16 weeks? So then, make up for the difference and set bigger goals every single week for the next 14 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're going to make up for that right now. I mean, you're going to make up for that with production over the next 14 weeks, to be able to hit those numbers without even having to work the last 2 weeks throughout the year, if that
Yeah,
makes
if
sense.
you wanted to make up for the 6K in production that you wouldn't get in those final 2 weeks, according to
Yeah,
my math, it's only an extra 428 AP each week ahead of that,
there you
which
go.
is the equivalent of an extra $35 a month application stacked each week, every week to get those last 2 weeks off.
Yeah, so set the goal to do a little bit more each week. Again, it's a great time to think about it because, like you said, it's very minimal. What, one extra sale every week over the
35 bucks a
next
month.
14 weeks?
Yeah.
And that's going to make you what you would have made had you worked the last 2 weeks of the year.
Yep.
So that's how you can make up for it. But yeah, you got to focus on that. And if you don't hit it this week, well, then you got to make up for it next week. Add that sale on to, put it on your tab. That's kind of how I look at it. I always say, I'm just going to put it on my tab. I got all this other stuff I got to pay for, just put it on the tab, and I'll figure out a way to make enough sales to take care of all of it. So yeah, write a little bit more each week throughout the next 14 weeks. And then maybe then you can kick back a little bit at the end of the year, celebrate your success, and look forward to the new year.
Absolutely. In the meantime, we'll catch you again next week as we continue to talk about this week, next week, all the stuff in between, and all the stuff in 4 months that maybe you haven't thought of. Thanks for watching.
And this concludes another episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, share with a friend or colleague. And if you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please leave those too. Any input is greatly appreciated. Thank you.